At the beginning of the presidency chapter, they just give you some basic trivial stuff like how many presidents have died in office and stuff like that. I would read that area, just no general stuff there. You should know since I've added the judiciary, there are specific court cases you should know. Not everything about them, like you do in a case study, but you should know essentially what it's about. For example, Plessy versus Ferguson is a famous separate but equal decision by the Supreme Court. That will later get overturned by Brown versus the Board, which, by the way, both those cases are on the test. I'm going to specifically name some Supreme Court cases as we go through here that were on that long list of landmark cases, but it's only going to be like a total of 8 or so that you'll have to specifically know for this. If you happen to be doing one of those, then you luck out, but if not, yeah, so that's basically what it's saying. So you should know the Plessy versus Ferguson case. You should know the Mapp versus Ohio case. Okay, that's Mapp with 2 P's. Okay. PP. And you should know the Miranda case. The Miranda case is when you get Mirandized if you're arrested. You hear your rights. If you're arrested, you know from watching television, right? This is like Law and Order. Who watches Law and Order or has watched Law and Order? The reason I got sick of that stupid show is just for writers, what writers would do, they would conveniently leave out them giving Miranda rights to someone so they can tweak it later on when they do the trial portion. You know what I'm saying? You know, I'm going, you wouldn't have your job if you did this more than once. Yet the same cops are always filling the Miranda, or improperly searching sometime, you know. Anyway, but suffice it to say, you get that right from the Miranda case that you have to hear your rights. So if you confess to a crime and haven't been properly Mirandized, that confession is thrown out. Okay, so, yeah. When we talked about the bureaucracy, I thought we moved from a system of patronage to merit, right? Okay, you used to have to know somebody to get the gig, then you had to pass a test to get the gig, okay? And something triggered that. And that gets to, remember I said, for each of these chapters, if specific laws are listed in the chapter, you should know them. So what law was passed by Congress? Well, that is the answer. It was a rhetorical question that was answered. What law was passed by Congress to move from a system of patronage to merit? If you're an interest group and you want to influence the Supreme Court, what's the best way you can do that? What's the best way an interest group can influence the Supreme Court? Okay? Some Latin will be involved. Also on the test, I promised that it's not cumulative. We're not going back to the beginning of the semester. But as you know, in each of the chapters, there's usually a reference to the Constitution and the bureaucracy, the Constitution and the Congress, okay? And so there's always going to be questions about the Constitution and amendments and things like that. But they're directly in the chapters you're looking at. And so in this case, you should know that an amendment, on the amendment process, what is Congress's role? What does Congress do as far as amending the Constitution? On the judiciary, I began the PowerPoint with, as I did in all of them, the founders' view, or what they felt when this country started. And what did they think about the future of the Supreme Court? Remember, judicial review is not part of our Constitution. But I think I said, for example, that most founders believe that that would be something that would be part of the courts. They would have the ability to do that. So look back to that part. If you knew when you took the Congress test where the real work is done, and you still know that, that will be a good thing. So where the real work is done in Congress. There are other laws, as I said, you should know. You should know what the Taft-Hartley Act did. You should know what the Civil Service Act did. You should know what the Whistleblower Protection Act did.